Hey there, YouTubes. Stephen Daniel here with Work Out Your Faith. I've met a lot of Christian pastors and Bible teachers and Bible students. I grew up in a Christian home where we studied the Bible every day. Where I went to a church where the Bible was taught every Sunday and every Wednesday. We went to Bible studies during the week. The Bible was a huge part of my life growing up. I know a lot of Christian people who still study the Bible every day. And those are great things. I know a lot of people who have gone to Bible college or Bible school or some kind of seminary to study the Bible more in depth. And they will come away saying, okay, this is how you give a 3-point sermon. This is such and such commentator, this is some history. They learn a lot of these things, which are important and nice things to know. But in my opinion, the number one thing someone can do if they're a student of the Bible or a teacher of the Bible, the number one thing they can do to deepen their level of understanding of the Bible is going to be to learn the biblical languages. I don't think we have the ability to understand the Bible. I believe we are limited in how much we can understand the Bible if we are reading a translation. And I don't want anyone to see this and think, well, since I don't know the biblical languages or I'm in the process of learning, I might as well not read the Bible yet. No, still read it in whatever your native language is. But keep in mind, there is so much depth that you are missing until you start understanding those languages. I'm talking about Koine Greek. I'm talking about biblical Hebrew. I'm talking about biblical Aramaic. The Bible is written in these languages. There is so much that you will never understand until you have some grasp of those languages. Even someone who is a student of those languages can try and explain it to you, but you're just not quite going to get it if you don't have some grasp of the language. Imagine if I was trying to tell a joke in a foreign language, like a joke that's in English with a lot of puns in it. The Bible is so full of puns in Hebrew. I can't believe it. Every time where I'm going through and I say, oh, wait a minute, this is a play on words. It's some type of pun. There are so many in what Christians call the Old Testament. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know much Greek. I don't know what's going on in the New Testament so much because my Greek is very, very limited. I studied Greek for maybe 2 or 3 months. That's it. I know enough how to read the letters, and I have a vocabulary of maybe 30 or 50 words, There's still a lot to learn. And my knowledge of Aramaic is very limited. I can kind of read and understand some of it when they're similar words to the Hebrew, but it's very limited. And what I'd like to contrast here is growing up in Christianity, where you might find 1 in 10 pastors has a good understanding of Koine Greek, and maybe 1 in 100 pastors has some understanding of biblical Hebrew. At least in the world I grew up in, that's what it seems like. There was very little study of biblical Hebrew. Or there was very little study of biblical Greek, and even less study of biblical Hebrew. And I think it's a shame. I think basically we're reading the Cliff Notes version of what we call the greatest book ever written. And we're content with just reading Cliff Notes. is it really the greatest book ever written if you're just going to read a summary or cliff notes of it? It's not exactly the same, but that's the best comparison I could think of. So I would like to encourage you to learn some biblical languages. Start wherever you can. There are so many online resources available. There are in-person resources available. Many of these classes don't cost any money. Some of them do. And some of them are very inexpensive. When I first started learning biblical Hebrew, it didn't cost me a dime. It was an in-person class. This was many years ago. And I learned a lot. There was just a local congregation that was teaching this class for free once a week. Now, for everyone, that's not going to be the case. They might not be close to a community. But there are so many resources available online. You can find so much just on YouTube to get started. And then eventually I did invest a lot of money and time into learning more. I traveled to Israel and lived there for 2 years. I went to Modern Hebrew Ulpan, where I was studying Modern Hebrew 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, or 6 days a week, plus 2 hours of homework every day, doing that for months at a time. I did 2 different summer Ulpan programs, and then I also had a Hebrew Ulpan class when I was at university. I invested a lot of money and time into it, and I still am not even close to the level of many people who grew up in an Orthodox Jewish community. I mean, I see kids who are high school age who grew up going to Jewish school, and their level of Hebrew is way beyond mine, and their level of Aramaic is way beyond mine, and their understanding and their ability to ask good questions is so far beyond me. And that's hard for me to see. It's hard for me to see that if I go to a Christian church or a Messianic congregation, people see my level of Hebrew and they go, wow, you know a lot. But if I go to an Orthodox synagogue, any high school kid there, any average student who's high school age knows way, way more than I do. And these aren't people who are rabbis or anything like that. I'm talking about people who are going to go to school to become a dentist or a doctor or a lawyer or an electrician or whatever. Like, these are just average people, just like you and me. It's just that their focus from when they were little has been reading and understanding the Hebrew language. And that's just Hebrew. I mean, in the world of people who believe in the New Testament, you have also Greek that is so important to learn. If you really want to understand the words of Yeshua better, learn what he said in Greek. And you might say, well, he was actually speaking Aramaic and it was translated to Greek. That may or may not be true. I think it depends. I think maybe some of those books were translations into Greek, and I strongly believe some of them were just originally written in Greek. That's another topic for discussion for people who understand history and archaeology way more than I do. But for now, I just want to encourage you, take the time, invest the money, do what it takes. If you really want to understand the Bible at a deeper level, start learning biblical languages. And there are so many resources available. Write me a comment. If you need some resources, I'd be happy to recommend so many of them. I mean, for online resources, there's a lot. There is so much out there. Please do yourself a huge favor. Deepen your understanding of the Bible and learn the biblical languages.